Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ikra TV and to Medicower. I'm your host Rabina Mir, and today we're looking at the profession of a doctor rather than an actual medical topic. I thought it'd be useful for some of our audience to think about what do our doctors actually do to train to become doctors. And so my guest today is actually a student doctor. So for any of you young people out there who are thinking about careers in medicine, hopefully the conversation that we have for this next hour will be useful to you and will help you to think about whether it really is a journey that you want to go on. So in my hot seat today is my guest, Niamh Crevin. Hello, Niamh. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Rabina.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's quite a daunting thing being on your own. I was kind of hoping we'd have a few students to talk to, but times were tough today with studies and things. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come along.
Thank you for having me, firstly. It's lovely to be coming in and sharing my experience.
I'm certainly expecting us to get a lot out of the questions that we ask you, because I think you've got such a world of experience in terms of just the journey that you've been on in 2 years, because you're actually a second year medical student, aren't you?
I am, yes. Time seems to be flying. I'm sure the rest of the degree will go just as quickly, but I am in still the early days of my training, but I already feel like I've learned quite a lot. So I can't wait to see where
Hopefully
I go
we're going to
next.
explore that, because I think what I'm kind of hoping our viewers will get from this conversation is just what it takes to be on this journey and how intense the training is. You know, sometimes within our communities, our family members, especially my generation, they'll sort of say to their children, oh, you want to train to be a doctor, but we don't always appreciate just what it takes to be on this journey. So hopefully we're going to explore that with you today. But let's talk about you first, Niamh. What was it that actually encouraged you to think about becoming a doctor?
As cliched as it sounds, I've always had quite the feeling to really want to care for people and look after them. Of course, that then broaches the subject of there's loads of things in healthcare you can do and just other jobs where you can care for people directly. But I did also really love science at school, and I've always just found the human body to just be the most fascinating thing, I think, on the planet. From being a baby to being an adult, there's so many just different kind of scientific things behind it. So to be able to merge the two together, to be able to care and also learn at the same time, I think that's one thing that's maybe overlooked in the profession, is the fact that you're constantly learning, and I do love to learn. I've always been a little bit of a bookworm, really interested in that as well. So to be able to combine the two, I think that's why I wanted to do it. And also, I joke, there's a program called The Thunderbirds, and I used to love when I was a little girl, and I think it's because I couldn't be a Thunderbird in real life that I think I wanted to be a doctor instead.
I was about to ask you, actually, what age did you think you started to seriously think about becoming a doctor? So was it as young as that?
It really was. I mean, I know a lot of people say, oh, there's nothing else I've ever wanted to do, but that really has rung true for me. I've just always wanted to do it. I can really remember just really liking kind of medical things as a child. Which is quite odd considering none of my parents are from a medical background, none of my immediate family are involved in healthcare. But it was just something that was always just kind of attracted me as a job. So, like reading books as a child or seeing characters on television shows. Obviously, they're not the best description or the best portrayal.
Doctor's kit you were working on to think that.
Exactly, yeah. But no, it's just something I've always thought, and I'd love to be able to, and it still rings true for me now. Just it's a way I can feel I can serve other people and really show my respect for humans as well and just human life.
That's really lovely to hear. I mean, obviously you're unique in your own sort of journey, aren't you? But in terms of your the stories you hear from other students, is it all very similar? Do people always want to be doctors for similar reasons?
I think everybody that undertakes the journey of becoming a doctor does understand that you are there to really care for people. I think it can be lost in sight when you're trying to learn so many things, and the difference between seeing a patient as a person and a patient as a patient rather can get a bit mixed up. But I think everybody does just want to really care and show that they care. I have met other people who their decisions for becoming a doctor or wanting to become a doctor are different to mine, but I think that's what is so great about medicine, is that everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their own personal reasons of why they'd like to do it. So I think that means that the care that you get and the doctors that you meet, they'll all have having their own reasons will give you such a wide range of care, and I think that's really lovely.
Sure. No, that's and I think, like you say, you know, it's another profession where people are made up from society, so everybody brings something unique of their own, as well as that sort of professional strand that we hope they all bring. Yeah. So let's have a think about then, what do actual medical studies entail? Because I know I want to ask you about each year group and how they differ and what you're learning, but just generically, what do you learn to become a doctor?
You learn, honestly, such a range of skills. You learn things such as basic science about the human body, the anatomy, how different parts of the body work, the things that can go wrong with it. So the first 2 years of medical school predominantly, where I study, are focused on learning the science behind disease and just learning about the body in detail. So in these past 2 years, as part of my programme of study, I've learned literally everything there is about the body. It can be quite overwhelming at times, but I think it's great to have that understanding before you try and go out and work out what's wrong with people, to really learn about how things work together and to see that in practice, you know, in the various teaching methods we have, has been fantastic.
It sounds like they're all pieces of a jigsaw that help you understand how the human body works and how to fix it, I guess.
Yes, that really is. And sometimes people just see medicine as being just solving body problems, really, which I guess in some ways it is. So the first 2 years have quite a scientific basis, but alongside those we learn kind of more the patient side of things. We get taught about communication skills and that, like, how we should really treat patients and make them feel more as people rather than a person in a bed. We also learn about kind of populations and health and how diseases can affect populations as well, why things happen in health, protocols behind things. We learn quite a lot. We learn a little bit of legal stuff as well, ethical things, you know, who makes the decisions when there's like life and death. So, I mean, that does sound very adventurous, but it really is the kind of basics you learn that then hopefully that when you go out to practice will make you a well-rounded doctor. So at medical school, the first 2 years of the programme are a bit more science-based, but then as you progress through, you spend less time in the classroom and more time out on the wards, really getting that first-hand experiences, which I think is just really beneficial. So as time goes on, by the time you get into your final year, you're pretty much practicing, obviously under a lot of supervision, you're not qualified. You are there, and it really is a journey. Every year you build on the skills you've learned in the previous year. I mean, even in weeks, I feel this year I've already developed a lot of skills that I really can't wait to go out and practice and to just show to the world and help people. So
it sounds like that, I mean, and I know I want to explore each individual in a bit more detail.
Of course.
And I know we're going to come on to that, but it does sound to me like as time progresses and you learn more, it's also about how you're given opportunities to practice it with real patients and real people.
Yeah, I really feel that does make the difference. To the university I attend, they make sure we get patients' experience from early on, and I feel that's really beneficial, because I feel obviously everyone wants to go out and help people, but sometimes it's easier said than done. And the way in which you can interact with someone can be a little bit tricky at first. I mean, I consider myself someone who, I mean, I haven't had experiences in healthcare before. I feel like I'm quite confident to go up and speak to someone and stuff. But when you're in that slight position of responsibility and someone's looking to you for an answer, to kind of practice that as a skill is something in itself to really try and work on. So I appreciate going out and getting that experience as well. And it does build your confidence. And sometimes it can knock your confidence when things don't go particularly right. But I feel a massive part of medicine as well is the ability to kind of stand back from a situation and reflect on what's happened and seeing how you can improve. Because if you improve for yourself, you'll improve things for other people as well.
Yeah, and it certainly sounds to me like a lot of this is also about that developing yourself as a person, you're not just developing as a doctor, you're developing and you're growing and learning, gaining experiences, and you're actually having to look at yourself as a person and what skills you're good at and what skills you need to develop, because that's where we all differ, don't we? Yeah,
definitely. As we've said, people bring different skills to the table, and I think that is just something that's great. Obviously, you work within a wider healthcare team, so when everyone has their own experiences and ways of dealing with things, you can learn from each other, and that's just fantastic. Obviously, you really want to make sure the experience is the best for the patient that
Nobody's
it can be.
Nobody's going to be an expert in everything, are they?
No, exactly, and that's why I think you need all those different kind of experiences, or just try and expose yourself to as many experiences as you can. I feel, obviously, it being quite a long degree in comparison to some other ones.
Because it's how long?
It can be up to 5 to 6 years usually. It depends where you train. But the course that I'm on is 5 years with the option to take a year out to study something different as well. It's called intercalation. But it is fantastic just to be able to have that experiences that can then shape you as a future doctor, because I feel that it's those early on experiences that they don't tend to leave you. You can apply them to different situations and work out the best way to manage things.
And you don't just become a doctor, you don't have to just be a doctor in a hospital or in a GP surgery, although those are great options to choose, but there's just such a wide range of areas where you could be a doctor. I mean, you could be working in the countryside, you could be working in a profession like the army or the RAF, and where else?
You can honestly, I think there'll hopefully always be the need for doctors. People.
Australia has their flying doctors.
Yes, they do. It's really something. So again, I think that's one of the things that has attracted me to medicine as a career and a profession, is that there's so many different things you can choose from in terms of the specialities, places where you practice. I'm really interested in, or having seen it when I was younger on the television, the air ambulance doctors in this country. Because the medicine they do is really specialised, and I think it's very interesting. And you sometimes see the helicopter flying around as well, and you think, well, that person obviously is unfortunate that they're so poorly, but you know that they're receiving the best care that they can. So doctors can work really in a range of settings.
Absolutely.
There's a branch of medicine that's called expedition medicine, where they go to places far off, really icy cold lands or deserts, and see what the human body can do there.
Sounds like you can combine hobbies with some of this.
You really
as well.
can. I think that's what a lot of people do as well. I mean, there's sports medicine. You forget that the big football teams, the big rugby teams, they all have their team doctors that do such a vital job. So I think there's wherever you go, you'll find a doctor kind of popping up here, there, and everywhere.
It is fascinating. I think that's one of the things I wanted to draw out of the conversation with you today, about how medicine isn't just about, you know, your everyday doctor in the GP surgery, although we're not undermining in any context the value that person brings, but the fact that it can be quite an exciting opportunity that can open up for you if you want to pursue it in that direction, and if you don't, then you can still balance it with other things that are more closer to home.
Most definitely. I think a lot of people don't realise that it is such a vast kind of career. You can choose so many different areas to work in. You don't have to stay in one forever. And even GPs will have their own specialities and things that they're really good at to focus on, maybe minor surgeries, that kind of thing. But you also find that doctors work within public health, so they kind of influence decisions about maybe vaccinations, or even things at like a government level. They help inform kind of health decisions that will affect everyone in the country. So there's so many different levels at which you can work and then base your life around, which I find very helpful as well.
Is it too early for you at this stage of your career? You're in your second year, for you to think about where you want? Is it just that the world's your oyster and you're just taking it one step at a time, or have you got a vision of where you'd like to be in the future already?
I'm quite open-minded. Obviously, as you said, I'm quite early on in my training. There's a whole range of specialities I haven't yet been exposed to. However, I have found from things I have seen and done, I quite like more general practice or acute medicine. Not so much I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I do like having to make decisions under pressure, that kind of thing. But it's quite early to make a firm decision, and even when you've graduated and started one training path, if you're not comfortable with it, or you've decided that you'd like to do something else, you can change. So I'm quite, I feel quite blessed in the opportunity that you can kind of choose something different. But no, I do quite like kind of the general side of things, because I've not found yet a particular organ or part of the body that I'd really like to specialise in. And I also appreciate in general practice that you see a whole range of situations, you meet a whole range of patients as well. I quite like interacting with children. At the same time, like anyone, I'm quite happy to talk to or help. So I feel that's where my calling is more towards at the moment. Definitely feel I'm not a surgeon, because I mean, you do study medicine as a Bachelor of Medicine and a Bachelor of Surgery. However, I feel...
That sounds like a very long journey.
It does, it does. I feel I like to talk to people more, and I'm not saying surgeons don't talk to people and have that, but I enjoy patient interaction, and that's something I feel I'd like to keep doing as well. Yeah,
that's really helpful, thank you. Can we explore a little bit more about the sort of first year of your study? What happened on the first week you were in medical school? What did they teach you then?
Well, actually, I have just transferred to my medical school. I did an access course. My route into medicine wasn't as conventional as some other people's. Okay. So my first year of medicine was actually at a different university. But then this year, actually coming into the medical school and being in that environment, it can be quite overwhelming, because there's a feeling of I've worked so hard for this to be here, and all of a sudden it's happened, you're there.
So this isn't a standard route to come into medicine?
No, unfortunately when it came to my A-levels, they didn't go as planned. I hadn't been as well as I had wished. So it did seem as a bit of a setback at the time, particularly since I knew how much I wanted to do medicine. Sure. So instead I took a year out after school and I worked as a healthcare assistant. But I feel that is something that's been really beneficial to me in terms of what it's exposed me to, and the kind of basics of actually giving care that I feel can sometimes be a bit lost when people get to university and you're kind of caught up in trying to make sure you do your assignments and things. That real kind of care element and providing that to people can be a bit missed.
Sounds quite humbling as well.
Yeah, it really was. Some of the situations, I mean, I was quite young out of school as well, and to be in a situation where you're caring for people's parents and then having their children come to cry to you about the situation their parent is in, you know, I toughened up quite quickly, and I feel that kind of year out alone has really made me a bit more resilient in terms of preparing me for this career. So I was very grateful for it. So even though it wasn't the most ideal path in terms of what I'd like to have been doing, especially since all my friends had gone off to university as well, taking the time out, I think, has made me appreciate how much I wanted to do it more as well. So I then went on to go to the University of Bradford, where I then did an access course. So in that first kind of 2 years
Is that
there,
an access course specially set up so you can access medicine as a
it is seen as an access course, but it can also lead you on to a degree that the university provides itself as well, which is a fantastic degree, and it's kind of seen as almost like a pre-medicine degree.
Okay.
I did get across to this other university though, so my experience isn't the same as most people's, where they will get the grades at A-level and then go straight into medical school.
It sounds like what you've gained from that challenging year where you didn't get the results that you wanted, everything didn't fall into place straight away. I think from my perspective as a patient, I'm thinking I'm really glad some of you doctors have actually had that experience, because it does sound like there's more depth to the thought process that you give into the caring side of being a doctor, and I'm not saying that you can't have that as a doctor that started your career from straight after A-levels, but it does sound like there's a lot to be gained from having those experiences too.
Yeah, sometimes taking a year out between school and university is seen in a negative light. I think it's definitely a person-by-person basis. It's something that suited me. Now, on reflection, at the time I was a bit aggravated about the fact that I wasn't able to just go straight off and do things, but the experiences it then taught me, I can now look back and I rely on them daily, and I don't forget the people that I met with in that year and the care experiences I had. And to then, I think it has shaped my future practice now. I even talk about it with my colleagues, and I will say, oh, well, actually, I was once in this scenario. And for people that have come out of school, they do, it's not so much, oh, looking up to someone, it's great to be able to share that experience and give that perspective.
And it seems to bring depth. It's like I'm thinking about, you know, when our young people pass driving for the first time, we all think it's really important to pass for the first time. But actually, I think the lessons you learn when you don't pass something for the first time, or you don't get everything straight away, can be actually really valuable. And you're certainly demonstrating that to me with what you're saying. So, you know, whilst I appreciate it must have been disappointed at the time.
Yes.
You've obviously recognised the value it gave you from that.
Most definitely. I'm someone who believes you're where you're meant to be at the right time, kind of thing. Just let things fall into place. Someone has a plan for you somewhere. So it has worked out for me favourably. So I'm very glad for that. But at the time it did seem, not so much that the world was against me, but it did spur me on to say, no, I am serious about this. I'm not going to let this one setback kind of just put me off it forever. I think if you're going to do something like medicine, it really is a vocation. You've got to be really committed to it. And I feel that's something I did kind of prove to myself, if anything, when I was doing that work in that year, because things were tough. You know, it was long shifts and quite emotionally demanding at sometimes as well. But that's all stuff that I feel has really prepared me to be the kind of doctor I'd like to be treated by. So hopefully one day when I do qualify, that is something I can bring to the job.
I know I want to explore that further with you, but I want to come back to the bit we talked about as to what happened in the first week or the first term of medical school. So do you remember what happened the first time you came to medical school, and what were the first kind of things that you had to learn about? Is it all science?
It is pretty much, there is a heavy scientific focus. Obviously they can't let you loose out with the public just yet, you're brand new. So to understand that, have that scientific basis as well before you go out and start trying to diagnose people. You do need to have that understanding. So there was a heavy...
reassuring, actually.
You don't want someone just coming at you with a stethoscope. So to have that scientific kind of basis, I think, is really great. So we started with the science and kind of how the body's working, and looked at the vital organs such as the heart and the lungs and how they work together, and the anatomy of that, as well as looking at the basis for health in the country as well, the epidemiology of diseases.
What does that mean?
So I don't actually know like the perfect definition of it, but it's how a disease affects the area, the trends in, say, like looking at like maybe the Zika virus. There's a team that will then kind of work out where the patterns of the disease are showing and the best way to treat it. It's also with public health, which we do have lectures on. But
so is your public health strand of study not just to do with UK health issues, but global?
predominantly UK health issues, but we also do look at things in a global setting as well, because they will either influence this country coming over here or going around the world as well. At the end of 4th year of medical school as well, or the end of 5th year, some places do it like that as well, you're encouraged to take an overseas elective where you go and practice, or just kind of practice and study in a different healthcare setting.
What does the term elective mean? That you've taken time out and gone somewhere else to practice or learn something?
So you go abroad and you do study under, I think, it's all liaised with your university, but you go abroad and see how their healthcare system works, you see what you can do.
It's like a placement?
Pretty much. It's an abroad placement, essentially, in a community or a hospital setting, and I think you can choose pretty much anywhere as well, so it's really something to look forward to. That really does open
up your sort of opportunity, doesn't it?
And especially, say, if you'd like to specialise, particularly maybe in obstetrics and gynecology, you can go abroad to maybe a maternity centre in somewhere that is the third world country and see how they deal with kind of their health pressures as well, and see in which ways you can help. And I think seeing different healthcare environments really gives you an appreciation for your own. I'm a big fan of the NHS. I love the principles on which it was founded. I'm a big supporter of it, and I'm very grateful for it as well. So when you contrast it with these other healthcare settings, it does make you appreciative of what you have.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Despite what's going on in the country at the moment.
We'll not get onto that one.
We won't discuss that one. So very much heavy about the science, how the body works, major organs. Then what happens in first year?
You also do a little bit of placement stuff. So you're sent out into the community for a few weeks with the GP, where you sit and observe that kind of first-hand role.
Real doctors in practice.
Real doctors in practice, and I think it's really great just to sit and observe. I mean, I know some people have that opportunity to do that before they come to medical school, but to sit there and look at it from a different perspective of how is that patient interacting with the doctor, how is this conversation going, what kind of things are they asking, to then look at that and reflect on it and kind of see how different doctors manage that as well, and how they manage different patients.
This really helps your learning then at a very early stage, because I'm thinking about this in the context that how do I feel? I don't always feel comfortable having students be involved in my healthcare for various reasons, and whilst I appreciate there's a learning opportunity for you, it's not always every patient's wish to have students there. But actually you're reminding me of why we might need to think more broadly about this. So how does that real observation make a difference to your learning? You know, could you not just learn it through just talking to the GP?
The first-hand experience does really help, and we do respect when patients would rather not have us in there. Of course, people are entitled to that. But having us in there, it really does help us learn. I mean, you do get some people saying, oh, you know, okay, then you can come in, I understand that you do need to learn. And it's really nice to hear that. I mean, I can understand that people may not essentially be comfortable having us there, but giving us that learning opportunity to see it happen is fantastic. I mean, having done a GP placement, to see people come in and to see that interaction, it's just so important to understand just the right way to do things, or sometimes the wrong way to do things when you see the way things may have not been done as well. So it's really nice when, say you are in the GP environment particularly, because obviously you're in a room rather than maybe a ward at hospital, there are maybe less people around, and sometimes people do expect it to be, I mean, they're obviously all confidential conversations anyway. To have another person sat in just observing a conversation between you and your doctor can be a bit daunting. But for us, it's great to see, because we can also see, well, how would the patient be feeling? We look at it from that angle as well. Do they feel comfortable? What kind of ways can we make people feel comfortable? So as daunting as it may be to come in and have a random student just sat there just looking at you, maybe if you come in with something wrong with your, like an eye or something, for us then to see it, it's I honestly can't fully describe how helpful it is. And maybe after a patient's left the room, say, wow, that was such a great learning experience. I'm really always open to learning experiences, so I'm always enjoying that. So having patients come in and allowing us to sit in consultations is just incredibly beneficial. So I thank any patient that ever lets us do that as well.
No, it's really helpful to actually hear that from your perspective, because I don't think I would necessarily think about it from that perspective. I'd be thinking about it from my own perspective. So I think that was making me think about it slightly different. I'm very conscious that time's going really fast for us, and we're coming up to the break very fast, and we've hardly got through any of the questions. But hopefully after the break we'll be able to talk a little bit more about what your degree entails, and to perhaps look at it from what kind of pressures and workload that you have, because I think that'd be really useful for our audience to understand about too. So inshallah we'll be back with you after the break. I'm Rabina Mir, your host for Medicower, and hopefully we'll be continuing the conversation with Neve about being the life of a student doctor. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.